At 6 p.m. it was dark. By Jewish reckoning, that meant one day ended and a new day began. Friday, later called Good in some traditions and long or silent in others. For Jesus, a young charismatic Jew, and his 12 closest friends, it would indeed be long. Imagine the scene. After a meal together, where Jesus had said and done some strange things, they had left Jerusalem, walked down the steep slope, crossed the brook Kidron, and climbed up the other side to the Garden of Gethsemane, an olive grove and a favourite retreat for Jesus. He liked to pray there. He has left most of his friends at the edge of the garden, but has walked further in with Peter, James, and John. He asks them to wait, watch, and pray, while he walks a short distance away, but still in sight. Does he see the leaves trembling in the gentle breeze, hear their quiet rustle, and smell the perfume of the flowers? He seems tense, worried, anxious, and a little agitated. He falls prone on the ground and prays, apparently in some kind of mental agony, finishing with, "Father, if possible, take this cup from me, but your will, not mine, be done." He gets up and goes over to Peter, James, and John. They are asleep. Jesus wakes them. "Could you not stay awake with me for even 1 hour?" Confused and dazed, they say, "Sorry, we will do better." Jesus returns to his prayer place, saddened and dejected. He had known this would happen since his baptism and had determined to accept the cup and drink it to the last drop. But it was not easy. Crucifixion is a long and painful way to die. And Jesus was human, as we are, as well as divine. Jesus goes over to his sleeping disciples twice more, and as he speaks the third time, urgent, heavy footsteps, clattering, and the flickering light of flares approaching are seen and heard. How would you have felt if you had been there? Judas appears, accompanied by temple police and a mob armed with swords and clubs. They come close to Jesus, and Judas steps forward, not looking Jesus in the eye. "Greetings, Rabbi," he says. Not Lord or Master, his more usual form of address, but cold and impersonal. "Friend, do what you have to do." And the man Jesus has shared the last 3 years with, had walked with him, slept under the stars with him, had talked with him, laughed with him, eaten with him, stepped forward and kissed him, thus identifying him to the temple police. Jesus looks at Judas sadly, but with love. Jesus knows his own destiny. He has come for the sake of those who get things wrong, as we all do. Jesus innocent of any crime, is seized, bound, and arrested. Impetuous Peter, now fully awake, draws his sword and, flailing it around, cuts off the ear of the high priest's slave. The mood of the crowd changes. Will there be a massacre? Jesus steps forward and takes command. Peter, put away your sword, for all who take the sword will perish by the sword. He touches the slave and heals him, as he has healed so many during the past 3 years. His captors lead him away. Were the leaves rustling encouragement to Jesus? The disciples fled, although Peter and John followed at a distance. Then and now, people often follow Jesus at a distance. How would you have behaved if you were an onlooker? Would you have reacted like Peter to defend Jesus? Would you have melted into the darkness? Or would you have watched from a distance? After visiting Annas, Jesus was taken to the chief priest's house, where Caiaphas and members of the Jewish governing council were waiting. They had long wanted to get rid of Jesus, as they felt he posed a threat to their authority. So they found people who were prepared to lie, so the council could send him to the Roman authorities for trial and sentencing, as they had no power to issue the death penalty. It was all very devious. To their horror, the evidence didn't agree, so that plan fell through. Eventually, a man announced, "I heard that man," pointing to Jesus, "say he would destroy the temple." Sharp intake of breath from the listeners. And he would rebuild it himself in 3 days. More gasps. Caiaphas, putting Jesus on oath before the living God, asked, "Are you the Messiah?" "So you say, but I tell you, you will see me seated at the right hand of God and coming on the clouds of heaven." Shocked silence. Caiaphas tore his expensive clothes, shouting, "Blasphemy!" He turned to the others. "What is your verdict?" "Death." People spat in Jesus' face, hit him, and jeered. At the same time, Peter, in Caiaphas' courtyard outside, was trying to look inconspicuous away from the light of the fire, and was recognized. 3 times he was asked if he was one of Jesus' friends, and 3 times he denied even knowing him. Then the cock crowed twice. He remembered what Jesus had said and his own answer, "I will never deny you." Weeping bitterly, he left, utterly ashamed. Do we sometimes lie to take the easy way out of a difficult situation, or to save our reputation, or to bolster our self-esteem? Do we deny knowing Jesus? When it was light, Jesus was taken to Pilate, the Roman governor, a man known for his cruelty and for not making very good judgments. By law, Roman trials had to be held outside and in public. There was a special paved area outside the governor's house for this to happen, with a raised area for the judge's special chair, all rather intimidating. Pilate came out to sit on it. Jesus, still bound, probably cold and hungry, not a friend in sight, only hostile onlookers, knew he was facing the death sentence. How would you have felt had it been you? How would you have felt as an onlooker? "Are you the king of the Jews?" demanded Pilate. "So you say." Pilate continued, "Do you not know all these allegations against you?" No answer. Pilate was puzzled. He realized Jesus was innocent and that this was a plot to get the Romans to kill Jesus. What should he do? Then he had a bright idea. He remembered that at the Passover festival, he usually released a prisoner chosen by the crowd. There was a notorious brigand and murderer in custody, Jesus Barabbas. Perhaps the crowd could be persuaded to choose him. He went out and addressed the crowd. Whom do you want released? Jesus Barabbas or Jesus the so-called Messiah? His wife appeared, very agitated. Have nothing to do with this man. I was told in a dream. But Pilate didn't listen. He asked the crowd again, which of the two Jesuses do you want me to release? The crowd roared, Barabbas! Barabbas! So what shall I do with Jesus Messiah? He asked. Crucify him! Crucify him! Crucify him! Why? What has he done to deserve that? Crucify him! Crucify him! Did they even know what they were saying? Or had they been prompted by agents of the council? Pilate had the sense to realise that a riot was brewing. So weakly, and against his better judgment, he took a bowl of water and washed his hands, declaring, I am innocent of this man's blood. Do it yourselves. He released Jesus Barabbas, but had Jesus of Nazareth flogged and handed over to be crucified. Is this how Roman justice is supposed to be? What would you have done?